right about now. Sorry for the delay, guys. Was having an issue with the chat box not working for some reason. Let me see if everything is in order. So, well, is the audio okay? I think it's maybe a little bit too loud. Let me just lower the game's audio by a little bit, and we'll. So I kind of underestimated how much work it'll take to set up everything. You'll see in a moment what I mean, but let's just say I'm working with a different setup today, and we are actually on the Google. This is really annoying. The Google Play PC version of the game. Because I noticed that whenever Assalto-san streams, right, if it's not doing Arena, he's actually streaming on Google Play Games PC. So I thought it might be good to run the stream on Google Play Games, because it is the loading time for Guild Battle, the mock battles, and the arena is actually a lot faster than BlueStacks. But still, we'll have to see if there's any problems later on with the stream. Of course, I'm ready to jump back into BlueStacks if necessary, if Google Play games start to crash and everything. So I finished building 3 teams, so today we're gonna take a look at how those teams perform, and the members of Mako have very graciously allowed me to test with their defense teams. So today is gonna be basically like a mock battle chill stream, and during the stream I also want to try and make some completely new teams that I think may be good for this new Guild Battle map in global version. Somebody wanted to see mock battles of Yuna from Final Fantasy X too, so I'm not sure if it's here yet. So halfway through we will switch to the Japanese version so that I can show you guys some mock battles in JP as well. But for now, let me show you guys what I got here. So this is what I've been. Okay, so this is the one I haven't finished building. There are probably some better vision card choices I can make. I'm not completely done with that. This is the one that I'm gonna test the most on, because this was actually one of the most popular XCS Suddenly combinations in JP. If you're using Odin Vision card in one of these slots, you probably should replace it with a better Vision card. I still see a lot of people use Odin VC in XCS Suddenly teams, but you have, unless of course you're missing some Vision cards, but ideally you want to run these 2 Vision cards always on Suddenly Exia. So later on we're gonna take a look at how this performs against a bunch of different defense teams. I also have the other version, which has Luciel instead of Summer Resnick, and they do completely different things. This is more offense oriented, whereas the Resnick version is more defense oriented. So we're just gonna go into Guild Battle Prep, and let me open up some links, and actually give me a moment. I think I need to go into be right back mode for a bit. Oh, never mind. You know what? I'll just leave it on this screen. So one of the reasons why I am testing this out is for the game right now, we have a bunch of different teams, and actually I believe the game is at the most balanced it's been. Let's see here. We have a bunch of different teams and actually... Hey Luciano! Luciano says, I picked Gilgamesh, Lucio, and Shurika. Good choice. Those are, for most players, those three will be the best characters that you can get. And you got Sadly in the free pulls and bought the select shots for Sadly. And you pulled Exia last week. So yeah, you're 100% meta now for sure. So I'm gonna, let's see. I'm gonna post on Discord and spread the link to my YouTube stream, but in the meantime, let's just go ahead and load up a fight. Okay, great. We have some Agrias teams in the house, so this is perfect. This is what I need. I'm actually kind of curious how the matchup here performs. So we're gonna go straight ahead and load this up, and I want to see the loading time for the guild battle as well. Like if it, does it take too long or is it too short? Okay, let's see here. Staking. Oh, Luciano, I just saw that you posted it on Discord. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so with the current solution, with my current setup, I think it takes about the same amount of time as it does on mobile phones for loading into guild battle, mock battle. But if not, I think next time what I have to do is probably mirror my phone directly onto my PC, because this seems to be taking longer than I thought. Gonna be showing some Yuna mock battles later on in my stream. Just waiting for this guy to be here first. Okay. I should lower the speed a little bit. Okay. So I'm a little surprised that the Agrias team is faster, but actually the way I've set this up. Oh no. Did I get the settings wrong? Okay. Courage. Yeah, I think the settings might be wrong. I'm gonna take a look at it in just a bit. But the way this team works is that, the whole team will basically just wait for the enemy to come in, and then you can just spam all your attacks all at the same time. There's one thing that's really good about the setup here, which is, oh crap. See, this is why Agrias is so good, you guys. I do have stop resist 25 on all my characters, but you can still get stopped. You can still get stopped by Agrias, and for that reason, even though Agrias is cost 80, she is definitely 100% a meta character. So for anybody who has just started the game or even just come back to the game after hiatus, highly recommend, building an Agrias team, because it is just ridiculous how good it is. And to be fair, all Agrias really does is it's a tank, but it's a tank with a high chance of stopping your opponent, and really that's all that is needed for Agrias for Ice Elemental teams. So it looks like we're surviving through the entire stop animation. Okay, unfortunately, Unfortunately, Exia does not survive to meet that. Let me see if there's anything I can change about that. I think this is a really unfortunate case actually, because normally Exia, if you don't get stopped, if Exia didn't get stopped by Agrias, this would be a cinch totally. It would be so easy for Sadali side to win the fight. But even with Exia stop, it's still doing pretty well. And we have a raise on Exia. It's really funny how one character comes up and the other goes down. I think I messed up on the movements for my team, so I'm gonna take a look at that real quick. I think maybe when I was building my second team, I did make some adjustments, and as a result, the team ended up not working completely the way I intended it to be. Hey bro, you're finally here, so we're gonna go and take a look at Yuna's team in just a bit. I do have to load up blue stacks for that. But first, just give me a moment so that I can check. My Sadali Exia team is working as intended. This is off, and this is on. I think it could be a speed reason. 118. Oh, okay, it is a speed reason. This is supposed to be 117. Wait, it is 117. Okay, then I'm not sure what the problem is. Let me just change things around. This is... So one of the things I've been meaning to try as well is a Halloween Lucio theme, especially now that Commander Mont is in the game. But the problem with that is the best... Well, I don't want to run Sadali with Halloween Lucio. That's the main concern I have, really. And if I don't do that, the unfortunate thing is that right now there isn't a lot of characters that I can run with Halloween Lucio. Let me try and put out some music. I think the movements are the same, so it shouldn't have been an issue there. CT up here. Okay, so the movements... I think the movements are slightly different than before. Possibly caused by, you know, agility differences. Like, did I remember wrongly? I thought, so earlier in the fight, what happened was, I think my team was more towards the left side, right? Was that a little bit different? And of course, the fact that I was able to land sleep on Agrias changed everything as well. So now it's a lot stronger. Maybe I just keep this configuration and see if it presents any problems. One thing I don't like about this team is Summer Wrestling going up to the front lines. Okay, I might potentially lose this fight if Summer Wrestling is going. Wonder what the issue is. It's not supposed to move this way, I think. By the way, so I'm loading up some music, and I think I'm gonna turn off the BGM from the game so that it's more consistent. Something that you listen to. And we're gonna go ahead and hop into the JP version of the game, and want to show you guys. So a bunch of my guildmates have actually made some pretty cool Yuna teams, and as it turns out, it's quite varied. So none of them are unfortunately busted to the point of busted, and I do feel that for Yuna, she's really good. She's a really fantastic character, but it feels like there's something missing. It feels like we need a little bit more to help with Yuna before, you know, she can be really oppressive in the game. And I think one thing I really like about the game now is that they've kind of gotten really good at designing characters in terms of making them strong enough for people to want to play them, but not so strong that they are overpowering. I'm gonna load up one more fight here while I set things up to go into to switch over to War of Visions JP. Let's take a look at Sadly Axia versus, I think, yeah. So this is exactly what I would run as well for this team. On this map, it's pretty good to run Evade, Sephiroth, and Shureka. Even though there is no, yeah. Wait, is this a lockout card? Without lockout, so you won't actually be evading a lot, but it's good enough to dodge a few important characters. So let's just put this in and see how the fight goes while I load up the rest of my setup. Okay. Let's see here. Hope the stream's not gonna lag because I'm opening up an instance of BlueStacks at the same time. Okay, so that's not fantastic for both of them to be put to sleep. I gotta check the trust stones later to see if that could have been prevented. 10% extra sleep resistance, or rather 10% extra activation rate on Axia is actually really helpful sometimes. And that's of course part of the new generation of characters who have extra chances to land status ailments. Okay, so this setup works really well. The only thing I have to check is whether or not there's sleep resistance. Okay, just give me a moment. I'm gonna switch audio sources. Oh, is it not working? I hope it won't be too loud. Okay, and since we switched the audio sources, I think we should switch to the JP version of the game as well. I think that would be this one. Oops, this one over here. All right. Let me adjust my. Oops, I'm not supposed to show you guys this. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to my BRB screen for a bit, and I'm gonna show you one by one what some of the Yuna teams in my guild look like, so that we have an idea of what kind of teams we're gonna be taking a look at today. You can do a lot with Yuna for sure, but the issue is all of them are not like, you know, so sometimes in the game they will purposely put in like a character that's really strong, but they'll limit the vision card and character choices such that you don't actually, so that it's not too strong. Oops. Oh, this is the screen. So this is the, I guess one of the main team combinations team comps that most people are running. Is these three characters together, and I think the reason for this is simply because there isn't a third light unit that's really good to go with Cloud and Yuna. And of course the vision card, the Yuriba vision card works for all of them, so that's the main reason it's being run here. But if you don't wanna run that, you can of course go with Fina. Okay, so I don't think it's here anymore. I did see a variation where my guildmate ran Lotus Mage Fina instead of Safer. I think it's gone now. Okay, so I think they changed it. So I think it was this team. But what my guildmate was trying previously was Lotus Mage Fina in this slot. But now that his pain is also 140, I guess, you know, he just wanted to see how good this is. So this is one sort of build, you know, Yuna and Cloud and the third character. And then the other build that some people really like is of course the full gunner build. Previously, when I saw this team, he actually had Melnia instead of Summer Jaden. So I wonder if now that it's Summer Jaden, whether it's improved at all. And of course, once the anniversary Jaden is out, you probably replace Summer Jaden with that version, which should probably do a lot better in the team. So we're gonna go ahead and load up a fight here. I need to label my transitions better. I keep forgetting which loadout, which setup on the stream is for what kind of thing. How's the audio levels, by the way? I think it's much better than earlier, right? C1 says, why wrestling over Lucial on this map? So I presume you're talking about global version, and the reason for that, so they're both good, but one is more offense oriented and one is more defense oriented. So the theory is that if you're able to keep your Sardali and Exia alive, no, actually just Sardali, if you're able to keep your Sardali alive for a very long time, then over time Sardali is going to do enough damage to just win you the fight off of that. So the idea behind using Summer Wrestling is that, you know, Summer Wrestling allows you to seal Barrier Break. And so as long as she's able to keep that buff on Exia, and then Exia will deliver the seals onto the enemy team, that will essentially prevent Sardali's barrier from being broken, allowing him to stay alive for much, much longer, and then you just win that way. So that's, I think, in the earlier part of the month, JP players actually preferred that setup. But then there were more teams that run Courage, and nowadays I believe more people prefer to run the Lucial version, because Lucial, the big thing is you can remove Courage straight away without any, you know, special effects or anything. Once Lucial puts the buff on, you can remove Re-Raise and Courage at the same time, and of course both Exia and Sardali are buffed with Haste, and if it doesn't get removed, it's going to be quite troublesome. So I think later on I'll show both versions, and we'll see which one actually performs better. But I think personally I prefer the Summer Wrestling version, but there are situations, there are certain matchups where the Lucial version is better. If you only have one of those characters, then obviously you go with whichever you can make. But if you have both of them, then you decide based on, you know, what you think is better. Let me turn up the sound effects in the JP version. It feels really weird without it. Okay. BGM off. This is on. Okay, so it's working now, I think. There we go. So we're gonna watch that fight one more time, because I didn't actually see what Pain did at all. I think the best way to use Pain is to make sure that, you know what, I wouldn't comment, because I was actually tweaking some stuff while that fight was going on, so I didn't actually catch it in full. So let's just watch this one more time. It's actually really stressful switching around the screens. I realize. Oh, am I on the wrong screen? Am I on the... Okay, I think it should be the correct one now. Wait, my preview looks wrong for some reason. I think I'm gonna just close Google Play Games version of War of the Visions while we are on JP version. That way it should not lag as much. Okay, so Cloud goes in to cast Shell on both sides. Well, this is really loud. Let me bring it down. Okay, so Protect and Haste is up on Pain and Cloud. And then on my end, Sephiroth gets his AP auto recovery. I think he's not using Keen Blade, right? Now the thing about Haste in the current meta is there are quite a few characters that can remove Haste, so it becomes an issue of whether or not you can get value out of your Haste before it goes away. And typically the characters that can make the most use of Haste are those with a lot of range on their attacks. So ideally, I think for Pain, right, if you're using Pain in this team, ideally you actually want the Haste to go on Yuna instead of Cloud, because that way Yuna can do a lot more attacks than, you know, than the two of them here in the front line. So the challenge will be coordinating the team such that Yuna receives Haste in the opening turns. And by the way, I haven't made my JP team, so that's why I'm just running a random Great Sword with Sephiroth team. I did beat some of the Yuna teams in my testing, by the way, even though this is not 100% fully optimized yet, which goes to show that, you know, Yuna teams at this point, they're not you know, they're not tier 1. I think they're more like tier 1.5 or tier 2 team. Next up, we're gonna take a look at the version with Safer in it. I believe this is the team that I beat in my test, but maybe he made some tweaks. So we see how that performs. And then of course there's also the Gunner team, and the thing about the Gunner team is I feel that it's like, you know, the Ice Gunner team all over again. As soon as you're able to run a good tank that has a good amount of missile resistance, you're going to be able to stop a full Gunner team. So the way I anticipate the meta moving out is that once Anniversary Jaden is out, Missile is going to be a meta team, and then from there onwards we're going to evolve. We're going to have a bit of an arms race between missile teams and non-missile teams. Alright, so let's take a look. So this is Cloud coming in for the shell. Yuna buffing the entire team with a bunch of stuff. I don't remember what exactly, but she also gets re-raised in that buff. Oh, I like the movement. So Saver comes in and gives the other two teammates, you know, the turn 1 buff. That's a really nice move over there. So if Cloud has Keen Blade, this is the Keen, yeah, this is Keen Blade. And then follow-up attack on Safer, who stays in the back. This movement is fantastic. If Safer is staying in the back, that is actually the correct movement for the team. Cloud should be the one, you know, tanking hits, because it doesn't really matter if Cloud dies. Oh, look at that damage, you guys. I've seen some cases where Yuna, you know, straight away kills like 1 or 2 characters in a single attack. Unfortunately, Safer is a little bit too far behind to land a hit. And this is one of the issues with Yuna right now, which is that there are situations where Yuna gets killed before she gets a follow-up attack off. So this is going to be you know, one of the issues with Yuna for sure. There we go. I won the fight despite my entire team lining up asking to be just, you know, shot in the head. So if I look, you know, just judging purely from the opening movements, that team, the Yuna team, is actually doing the right things. But unfortunately, as you can see here, even if you're doing the right stuff as a, you know, in a Yuna team, there are situations where you can just lose because of, you know, unfortunate circumstances, like Yuna dying before follow-up attacks get to follow through. Let's take a look. Right now I'm gonna load up the third team that we have for testing right now. This is the full Gunner team, and I'm gonna read your comments while this fight is loading. Okay. So because I'm using a new setup today, I don't have everything in the correct places, so it's a little bit hard for me to see your messages, your comments as they come in, but I'm gonna do my best to get on top of that. Oh. I'm gonna start with the most recent ones. E30G says howdy, thanks for stopping by. So right now we're showing off some Yuna mock battles because I know somebody in chat over here that I've summoned to the stream is wants to basically devour any and all of the information about Yuna. Luciano says might be a lot better in manual matches. Yeah, for sure. Yuna is definitely better in manual matches. Typically any gunner is going to be better in manual matches. But the thing about the game is it's designed so that even in auto mode, gunners can stand out. And I think because the developers were too afraid to make Yuna too strong, you know, they've tried to give her weaknesses here and there. And as a result, it's a bit more challenging than usual to, you know, make sure that Yuna stays in the back and do really well. And another thing I forgot to mention, which is that if you're running Yuna or any gunner, you know, in a team with 2 frontliners, you should definitely, in my opinion, you should definitely turn off the affinity for your gunner, because that will actually make your gunner unit run forward if you have that on. So here is one solution to that. If you run a full gunner team, you can essentially take out the entire team before they can do anything. Like, the damage is really quite insane, right? Wouldn't you agree? The only issue is once the non-gunner team is able to get close, then you're pretty much dead meat. And the Yuna gunner team here, you know, barely wins by a small margin. If I simply run a tank in my team, that's gonna completely stop the gunner team, I believe. So this is more of a meme Yuna team than something that you would actually run. There is one exception though, which is in limited cost battle, I would actually run Yuna and another gunner along with what is her name? The dark girl who hastes. Crap, I don't remember her name at the moment. Remure, right? I'm talking about Dark Girl. Guys, next time if I say Dark Girl, this is who I'm talking about. Remure. So if you run her and Yuna and one more gunner, I think so. My kind of thinking is that on turn 1, Remure will double haste the entire team, or rather triple haste the entire team, and then right after that, for her turn 2 and turn 3, she's gonna use Quicken, right? And if you're running Yuna with Yuna's TMR, and you did activate that, what's gonna happen is I think you can get enough turns off so that you're, you know, doing a bunch of critical attacks, and you may be able to earn enough CT up so that Yuna gets like an extra turn. And basically the idea is if you do that, I think you may be able to kill the enemy team before they even get close, and it's gonna be quite similar to the Ice Garant team that we had in the past, back when Alaya was newly released. Let me change. Number one hero says you just use Safer for Yuna plus support comms. What do you mean, just use Safer for Yuna and support comms? So you're saying remove Cloud, keep Safer, and then put a support character? I'm not too sure that is a good idea, because if Safer gets barrier broken and Yuna, you know, Yuna can die in like 2 hits sometimes, right? So she's not exactly the tankiest character out there. Yeah, so I don't really think that's a good idea. Ideally, you want a tank. I would rather run a tank than a support character, actually, in this case. because that way at least you have some chance of surviving. So those are the three teams we have within the guild for testing, and you know, everyone else is still slowly building their Yuna, myself included. Luciano says Lemure, I forgot about her. Yeah, she's really good, especially in cost limited formats. In a lot of cost limited guild battle, if it's cost 280 or cost 270, right, you can easily just run 2 cost 100 characters and Lemure, and usually that will be more than good enough. Luciano says best tank is Agrias. My Agrias, yeah, she is up there for sure. So my general advice right now for everybody during the FFT collab rerun is to save up all your FFT Mind Spears and just use it all up on Agrias. Just reincarnate her as much as possible, but of course you don't want to actually waste resources or visual on buying more FFT Mind Spears, because after all, at the end of the day, FFT characters are, you know, kind of old news, you know. They are not going to be as strong as future next generation characters, so I wouldn't go out of the way to get more FFT Mind Spears by, you know, buying them or using visual for them. But if you have a bunch laying around, definitely I recommend just using it up on Agrias, reincarnate her as far as possible, unless you don't have, unless you're short on reincarnation scrolls. Number one hero says, what about Orlandeau? Orlandeau is just okay. I mean, he's pretty strong for a cost 80 character, but I don't feel that he's anywhere as good as Agrias. And the thing about Agrias is you have to realize, as a tank character, tanks and supports are, you know, usually they usually have quite a bit of longevity in the game because they are quite hard to replace. Whereas for damage dealers, you know, whenever they release the next new gen damage dealer, that's usually, you can usually you know, take out whatever you have and replace it with the new character release, as long as the vision cards fit and everything. So yeah, those are the 3 Yuna teams I want to show you guys as we make even more Yuna characters, sorry, not Yuna characters, as we make even more Yuna teams, and when I finally get to level 140, of course I'll do more showcases. For now, let me see if there's any interesting teams. For now, I just want to show you guys a few more examples of Yuna teams that people have been trying out in offense, so not put up on defense for us to test, but still it is something that is worth trying out. And once I do have my Yuna at level 140, it's definitely something I'm looking forward to trying out as well. So this is another example of the full gunner team. I think what they're going for here is this a... Holy crap. This guy has 2 Hermes shoes plus 6. Hermes sandals plus 6. I don't really think that helps at all, but one can dream. It's a interesting build for sure. Let's just put it that way. Let's see if there were any other Yuna teams that people are experimenting with. You know, oddly enough, right, I actually see more people use Ramza these days in guild battle than Orlandeau. Of course, Orlandeau is actually better than Ramza in most situations, but the issue is Orlandeau is a lightning unit, and whereas Ramza is a light unit. So you do have players who make these kinds of teams. And if you really love Ramza, you can actually run him in this configuration, in limited guild battle especially. I don't think it's quite good enough for normal guild battle, but some people do run this team exactly in regular guild battle nonetheless. Alright, so now I'm gonna fire up a global version of the game. And we're gonna go back to building some teams. So later on today, I have to be somewhere quite early on. So today will be a bit of a short stream, and basically I just want to use today to test my setup, so that in the future I know exactly what I need to do, what I need to change for the stream, so that we can have a more sort of conducive environment for testing stuff in Guild Battle on live on stream. And one thing I'm trying to do is get suggestions from chat. Like if there's any interesting ideas, I want to just build them live on stream, and then we can try it out. I'm not sure if... Okay, so this is the global version. Let me just rename it so that I don't get confused. Google Play Games. Alright, so Ragnas bro, did I scratch your itch? Did I give you all you wanted for the Yuna thing? Unfortunately, we only have 3 teams to test at the moment. But as you can see, and actually within the past day, the teams themselves have changed. So people are still, people are still trying to figure out what is the best combination for the Yuna teams. It's still early days, and just like in global version, in JP right now we have a 4-day break. From November 1st to November 4th, there's no guild battles. Actually, the first guild battle in JP is on November 4th. So as a result, I think quite a lot of people are taking their time with it. So we may not be able to find the absolute best Yuna team very soon, very quickly. But that's just as well because we are actually waiting for Anniversary Jaden as well, in order to, in order for us to truly see Yuna's potential. So that's something of a developing situation there. For now, I'm heading back into global version. I haven't done nearly enough testing, so I wanted to get some tests done before I start streaming, so that we have a better idea of what exactly we want to test. But as I was setting up my teams, I kind of ran out of time. So a lot of the teams I've built here, I'm kind of flying blind. I've maybe only done a few mock battles to check that the movement seems okay, and I didn't really test the matchups. So for now, we're loading up the both versions of the Southerly Axia team, and we're gonna flip the offense and defense positions as well, just to make sure that there's no maybe there's something weird going on with the map. But basically what I'm trying to find out right now is which version, like if you were to play these two teams against each other, which version tends to perform better. Number one hero says, alright, so I guess I should ask the funny question. Yeah, go ahead. What is the funny question you have? Wait, Hey Bro is not number one hero? I thought the whole time number one hero is Hey Bro. Because the thing about Hey Bro is he changes his player name all the time. I really thought, on my stream, I think 2 nights ago, I thought number one hero was Hey Bro. But it turns out you guys are 2 different people. Number one hero says, if I'm going to take level 120 Ramza for my selector, is it really worth 6k visual? I don't think it's worth 6k visual, but you do have one selector given to you on day 3. So I would just use the FFT token to trade for Ramza. But going out of your way to actually buy Ramza using 6,000 paid viz, I don't think that's a good idea. You should be saving your paid viz and free viz for the upcoming meta, which is Final Fantasy X-2 for sure. Oh, Orlandeau, okay. Okay, I see what you mean now. Okay, so if you're taking Ramza as your selector, is Orlandeau worth buying for your collection? That's not an easy question to answer. I think for most people it will not be worth it, unless you just really love Orlando and you want to play the character. I think it's going to be a luxury thing. If you feel like you want to play the character, I think it's okay to splurge on the 6K visual to get him. But if we're looking at the meta, if we are looking at the play environment, you definitely don't need Orlando at all because there's going to be better cost 70, cost 80 characters you can run in lightning teams, and also the synergy is I think he's not going to be as good as future characters. The reason why Agris is so good is because she's a tank that has a higher rate of activating stop than usual. That is the main reason, and everything else is secondary. For Orlando is not the same, and he's even though he's better than Ramza, at the end of the day he's a DPS character, so that means he's going to be quite easy to replace moving forward. So for that reason, unless you really feel like you need to have Orlando, I don't actually recommend spending to get him. So it seems like in the current fight that we're looking at, it would appear that the Lucial version seems to be performing better. Luciano says he's got here. Orlando is got here for his cause. He is definitely good and usable if you're a fan. Yeah, I agree with that assessment. He is definitely good, good enough to use if you really like the character. But the issue is if you don't really, if you just want to go for characters that you play, he is not going to be as good an investment as other characters, especially those coming down the line. Let me just turn on music and turn on voices. Gonna do some audio adjustments. Okay, hopefully it's not too loud. Okay, so I think this should be a good volume. So next time we're gonna flip the positions on O and D to make sure that it's a fair fight. So early on, the Lucial version actually won, but is it going to be... Wait, so we had this on O. I need to copy this formation and put it on defense, which I'm gonna just... Okay, so there's another issue with my setup, well, which is that these two teams actually require different TMR settings. So I think I had it up for... I think it should be alright actually. If Suddenly didn't use bells in the fight earlier, then it should be quite okay. But basically the only difference in terms of settings is Suddenly's TMR is off on the Lucial version. And of course you can run a different version of the setup as well. It's just that for the setups I'm running, the TMR settings are supposed to be different. So we're gonna run that back real quick and see if indeed the Lucial version is the superior version in the mirror match. But I don't think... So this is purely for in the event that you need to use one of these teams to fight another Suddenly extra team. But realistically, you should look at, the matchups. You should look at the other matchups for both teams before making a decision which version of Suddenly Exia to run. Luciano says, top 60 is doable. I don't play the meta. Yeah, if you're not a meta enjoyer, you should definitely go ahead and pick the characters you want to play the most. I would definitely go with that direction if I were not a meta enjoyer. Unfortunately, I enjoy my meta a little bit too much, just a little bit too much. So for me, I do have enough shards to get Orlandeau to level 120 and 140, so I will actually be unlocking him to level 140, but if I didn't have the shards, I wouldn't do that. I would just go all in on Agrius. Number one hero says, I don't particularly care about playing Orlandeau. I'm in fact playing Yuna and I'm not super focused on lightning. Then in that case, I think it's probably best to save your visual for the future characters and meta coming in. Number one hero says, I'm gonna swing on your teams and tell you if I clear or not. Wait, what's your player name in the game? Because we don't have a number one hero in our guild. But yeah, definitely swing on my teams and tell me how it performs. Oh, the voices are really loud. Okay, so one thing I need to watch out for is whether or not Suddenly uses bells. Because as long as Suddenly doesn't use bells, then the settings on both sides is actually correct. Now early on, we had the offense team running the Lucial version, winning the fight, but now that the positions have swapped, will it be the same? A lot of the game, if you haven't noticed, a lot of the game, right, is very positioning based. It's not just about what team you're running, but it's also about sometimes, the RNG element comes into play depending on the movements of your characters. And sometimes that is completely RNG. But with that said, especially in a mode like Guild Battle, you can actually practice against very specific setups to try and find the best movement to counter the most popular teams in the meta. So it looks like whichever team is on offense seems to be having the advantage here, because just take a look at how well the Summer Wrestling team is doing right now. Summer Wrestling is going to heal up the team and get back at full health, and Summer Wrestling is at the exact position I want her to be at, away from danger, and the fight is going so well. It's almost like a 3v1 situation now. Okay, there we go. Officially 3v1. Okay, so now you see why I personally like the Summer Wrestling version of the team. I feel like it's really good, and as long as Suddenly's barrier isn't broken, right, you can keep healing Suddenly up and they'll just, the fight will swing in your favor. The one problem is, of course, if you're fighting a team that is able to get like Axia or some other team, some other unit come in and break Suddenly's barrier before he's able to barrier seal, that is the only situation you need to worry about. So next up, we're gonna run, I think I like the wrestling version, so we're gonna take the wrestling version and run a few more teams against it. But before that, I should change my defense setup back to the wrestling version so that number one hero can test and tell us how the fight went for him. And of course, if you're testing a team in Guild Battle, ideally you want to do it like 3 or 5 times in a row to see what the results is like, to see whether or not you can replicate the results consistently. So before we head into that, I just want to show you guys my other teams. Actually, I think I only built one more team fully, right? So this I haven't messed with yet, but I think I can make this team work on this map, I believe. I just haven't tried. So this is the other team that is, you know, still obviously very much in the meta. Now I've seen some versions of Sephiroth and Shureka team running full evasion instead of whatever this is. Personally, I don't like that version of the team because you're not running two lock up vision cards usually, but it's worth a try, you know, if there's a lot of water teams in the meta. If there's too many Axias running around, then maybe one of the ways to counter that is with the evade Shureka and Sephiroth team. Have you guys tried, you know, any teams at all on the new Guild Battle map in global version? Would love to hear what you guys have tried and what has been working for you so far. I'm still looking for ideas, and I want to make, like, because now that they gave us like 3 level 120s, right? I want to try and make as many different teams as possible and see if I'm able to find something that, you know, is interesting to play that we've never really seen before used in JP meta. So next up, let's take a look at some of the teams. Since we have, I think we have a few Orlandeau teams here. Let's just see how good Orlandeau is. I think I saw more than one Orlandeau team yesterday when I checked the guild's defense teams. But it looks like right now only Ryu Saint is the only one rocking Orlandeau on his defense team. So, you know what, for now we will jump right into it. And, oh, this is the wrong team. And maybe Orlandeau will teach us a lesson on not to underestimate him. I don't think it's gonna be a great result, but who knows, maybe we might get surprised. Luciano says, I use Yura Zazan and Halloween Lucio and Ashenmon for 3 months plus now. Okay, that is interesting for sure. The thing about that is, if your opponent is running Gilgamesh, right? How do you even win against that? Because Gilgamesh guarantee hit will just hit everybody, right? Because the AoE is so wide. So that's why I'm a bit... I've actually did some calculations and some simple tasks for Halloween Lucio post 2024 upgrade. You know, since he has his what is that? Master ability too. And the thing is, I do like that he has gotten quite a few buffs and his evasion is now even higher than before. It's like a crazy amount. Like if you're into true evasion calculations, it's right now, without any buffs, right now it's at about 410%. So with buffs it will go up to like 440, 450, which means that for most characters, even if you have like Summer Glassy, or you know, even if you have like moves that do 30% increased accuracy, it's going to be way harder to hit Halloween Lucio. But the problem is that he dies like instantly to any magic attack that is guaranteed hit. Okay, we see Orlandeau putting up the courage there. So far so good. And the haze comes in for Gilgamesh. So I think this team is a little bit unfair for Orlandeau because there is a Earth unit in my team, so it's not going to Orlandeau is not going to be able to do that much damage against my Southerly. But the fact that he's not able to take out Exia quite easily. Oh, okay, never mind. Forget what I just said. I was gonna say Orlandeau seems to struggle against Exia, and then the moment I say that, the guy comes out and proves me wrong. Holy cow, wait, what? Am I losing? Holy cow, I lost. Okay, maybe Orlandeau is top tier. No, there must be a mistake, right? I don't know, man. Like, I wasn't expecting that. Let me run it one more time and then we'll see what the result is, and then I'm gonna try the other team. So anyways, the point is, if the reason you're considering Orlandeau is because of FOMO, if it's because you're afraid that if he turns out to be really good, then you miss the chance to have him in your kits. My recommendation is still, like, my advice is that it's probably not worth the trouble, because usually in this game, if you want a character to perform really well, you really do need to reincarnate them. And unless you want to tell me that you want to reincarnate Orlandeau instead of Agrias, which is not really worth it in my opinion. But if you're willing to do that, I think you could make Orlandeau be really strong. But you know, that comes at the expense of not reincarnating Agrias. And if you're gonna reincarnate any FFT unit, I think it should definitely be Agrias. She is really hard to replace. A tank that can, you know, do a decent amount of tanking, plus the, you know, being able to activate stop on enemies even if they have the Trust Stone 25% stop resistance. That's really good. Of course, later on, if we do get a new top tier tank, then Agrias' viability starts to drop a little bit. But as long as, you know, as long as the new tank is not ice element, I think you're in good hands. Agrias should probably be playable for a really long time. Luciano says Orlandeau removes Honeycomb and White Guard. He brings something to the table. Okay. Sure. Holy cow. Luciano is gonna max reincarnate his Orlandeau as a fan. Well, I mean, if you're really willing to do that, then yeah, I think he can be really good. But that is, like #1 hero says, that is wild. That is wild indeed. Luciana explains, logic doesn't apply to love. Yeah, indeed. What about... Wait, so Luciano, did you, are you not a fan of Final Fantasy VIII then? Because I'm pretty sure you don't have a max reincarnated Squall, right? So what happened over there? Are you simply not a fan of FF8? Is that why you didn't, you know, max reincarnate your Squall? Oh, by the way, I should explain as well, for my current team, I believe XA is at 40 reincarnations and Sadly is at about 10. So this is still a work in progress. It's not a max out team yet. So I think the issue here, you know, the XA team is struggling with is with all the haste over here. Not having proper haste removal is kind of, you know, preventing them from winning the fight. But even if I make that excuse, I have to admit this is a really solid performance for Orlandeau for sure. It's just that because you do have to reincarnate him to make the team really good, I don't really think it's worth it. And of course, if you get unlucky, am I winning? If you get unlucky, you might still lose even if you max reincarnate Orlandeau. So it's not a surefire thing. There we go. Number one hero says, I'm currently 3-1 against your defense. Wait, what offense team are you running, by the way? What offense team are you running? And after this, I want to get you to test the other version of the Axia Southerly team. And let me know how that goes. The thing is, my team at this moment is underpowered in that I didn't reincarnate a lot. Because I want to conserve a bit of my resources and slow reincarnate them. But with that said, right now in the current meta for global version, it's really very balanced and you can succeed in a lot of teams. Cloud, Luciel, and Safer. Okay, let me think about that for a bit. Cloud, Luciel. Okay, so Cloud gives your team a bit of an advantage because my team is comprised of 2 magic attackers. But with that said, yeah, maybe that's one of the weak points for Southerly Axia. So I know that. So this team, right? I mean, you might have seen it used quite a bit in JP over the past month, but there's one thing about this team, which is that is although it is considered one of the strongest teams in the JP meta over the past month, it is not a universally strong team. In terms of, we do know that there are very clear weaknesses for this Southerly Axia combo, and one of those weaknesses is if you pit it against a win team, this team will almost always lose because Southerly is unable to generate enough damage to actually take down the win DPS units in time. Now that's assuming you are running a proper tank like what is his name? Dario. If you run Dario, this team has almost no chance to beat it. And then I guess the other situation that we're finding out now is that if you're playing against a Cloud team, right? Because of all the magic mitigation, it seems like this team may not perform that well against teams with Cloud in it. And of course, if you're gonna run Yuna, you're definitely going to run Cloud on the same team, unless they release like a much better light elemental unit down the line. So that's one of the reasons I want to slow build this team as well, because at this point we don't know enough about how good a max reincarnated Axia Southerly team does against the new Final Fantasy X-2 meta. But with that said, I do feel that Axia is definitely 100% safe to max reincarnate because you will be able to use Axia in a lot of different teams. And I was telling somebody earlier on Reddit, I think yesterday, as long as you have Luciel and Axia, you can essentially run those 2 characters with any other character and any other TPS character, and you should be able to get a functioning proper team with that, because Luciel and Axia's weapon group is the same one. Number one hero says, with Luciel you should clap. Actually, I'm taking a load of damage. I'm winning because of a combination of Haze and Safer's Barrier Break. Okay, so I guess the issue is with... see, that's one of the scenarios I'm talking about. This team is really good at surviving, but it is conditional on that Southerly's barrier is never broken. And for that to work, Axia has to be the first person to attack in the fight, because she needs to be able to land the barrier break ceiling before, the opponent's Safer or some other barrier breaker can actually touch Southerly. So I guess maybe this team is not as good as the Luciel version, let me just change to that real quick, and then you can go ahead and test it a bit more, see if your team does indeed get clapped upon by the Luciao version. Zerza says, are your VCs Elder Awakened and Reliquary Weapons +1? Building that team out, I have 600 plus more magic than you. I definitely didn't fully max everything, but just to show you what I have. Because I was rushing to get this team ready by the stream, but for the Reliquary Weapons, I did unlock the +1 version of them, like just a few hours before I started the stream, so the problem is not over there. Reincarnations will account for about 300 difference in MEG, and the rest would be vision cards. So maybe I didn't. Let me see if I have any Elder. So they're all Elder Awakened on this team, as well as the other team, I think. 2, 3, 4. Yep, they're all Elder Awakened. And Trust Stones, MEG, and SPR is in. So yeah, I think it's just reincarnations and maybe the vision card setup. Because depending on your vision card setup, it can change a little bit. What was I gonna do? Okay, so I've put number 1 hero. I've put the Luciao version up, so you can, if you could, do me a favor, you know, run your offense team against it a couple of times. Let me know what are the results like. So yeah, I suppose the barrier thing with summer wrestling is not as strong as having haste, especially if you're able to get a few hits in before your haste gets removed. Number 1 hero says, in general, my team is pretty spicy versus nearly every comp. So yeah, you will get slammed on the spot by the tweaked Garoza. Yeah, that's another thing as well. The thing is, this team supposedly doesn't 100% lose to Garoza teams. I've seen a number of freak situations where somehow the Saturday team is able to beat the Garoza team, but you need to rely on chance for the matchup for sure. And sometimes it's not exactly chance, because there are probably like little things you can tweak to improve your chances, but generally speaking, that is considered a bad matchup for this team for sure. So we're going to go back into Scene Reel's Orlandeau team. Let's see if Orlandeau is a true god or if he's just a false prophet. So normally, usually the way I like to use my resources is like for the entire collab, I will pick a single character to pump all the Mind Spears into. And even for last year's official tournament for War of Visions, I use up every single piece of the Halloween Mind Spears onto Halloween Lucio just to get him to over 80 reincarnations. And that's even though I do not have, like, my Halloween Frederica is still at level 99, and that really hurts sometimes because there have been situations where I actually do want to play with Halloween Frederica, but I went all in on Lucio, and I kind of screwed myself out of that opportunity to play Halloween Frederica in the meta that she was actually good in. Luciano says you need to build Orlandeau for all resist. He doesn't need status resist. Oh, what do you mean all resist then? He doesn't need status resist, but he needs type resist? Is that what you mean? Number 1 hero says a much closer fight, but your movement does not work against a slot 3 cloud and that approaches with Keen Blade. Okay, so it could just be positioning dependent, perhaps. It could just be that. So maybe after you've run it a few times, let me know the results, and I'm gonna change my defense team into another team for you. Oh, so this is what you mean, right? He doesn't need status ailment resist because of that, because of what he just did. Number Hero says, your Suddenly is basically lining himself up to take 2 shots from a pair of 2,500 attackers. Yikes, okay. So that is definitely an issue for sure. Now maybe I got the Lucia version wrong as well, because I don't see haste coming out here, or it could be that, you know, the length of the map makes it difficult for that to come out. So that's something I will have to explore later on. Holy crap, it's doing even worse versus Orlandeau. Gosh, Saint Ryu, what do you feed your Orlandeau? Why is it so strong? Now do keep in mind again, my team is not heavily reincarnated. I did give Axia about 40 reincarnations, but suddenly it's only on 10. Ooh, look at the damage. I feel that there's probably not enough innovation being discovered with Suddenly. I feel that Suddenly has a lot of strong things about him, but his best partner in a team is probably not Axia. Like, I feel that in this team, it's almost like you're just getting Axia to come and break barriers for you. So in the future, if they release another barrier breaker that can complement better with Suddenly, I think that's gonna make this team even stronger. Just in the same veins as, you know, right now, one of the more popular teams amongst players is still Great Sword plus Safer, right? So that will be June, Cloud, and Safer on the same team. When the FF102 collab is out, you are essentially replacing June with Yuna from FF102. And that feels like, although, you know, it doesn't feel like the same thing, it's actually considered an upgrade over that. And it looks like I'm winning this time. So looking at, you know, how close this is, I would have to say the number of reincarnations really do matter in this particular matchup. If my Suddenly wasn't reincarnated at all, it could just be that I wouldn't be able to last up until this point in the fight. Durza says, Sid is rushing out to disrupt you before you can get haste up. You can turn off Luciel's limit burst, so she haste turn 1, likely changes the matchup. Oh yeah, you're right. Sometimes you do have to turn off Luciel's limit burst. So let's go ahead and do that and see how it performs. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Because I started with the Summer Wrestling version and I just copied and pasted and, you know, swap out to Luciel. I didn't consider that at all. Thanks for chiming in on that, Services. Let's go in. Probably gonna be more stable. Let's go up again. Saint Wheel. Number one hero says, yeah, I'm still beating this team. It gets dirty, but you don't have the solution to safest barrier until the action hits. Okay, you know what? I just turned the limit burst off on Luciel. So can you go out of guild battle and then go back in and try again, and you should see that Luciel will now not use her limit burst on turn 1. Let me know if that changes anything. Oh man, I really like this music. It's too bad it's only 1 minute and 47 seconds long. The music creator didn't make a long version of this song. So I'm gonna have to change back to the previous track in like 20 seconds. I'm gonna try and see if he has a long version of this song. What the hell? Mary had a little lamb? So one thing I don't like about this stream is that I didn't test the Guild Battle loading time on Google Play Games before I started. So I think I'm gonna go and measure it later on and see if Google Play Games is good enough, or if I should just mirror my smartphone onto my PC, which is something I have to set up in a couple of days because my Android phone just died recently. So I'm back on using an iPhone because my mobile phone contract is up for renewal. I'm gonna be changing to a new Android phone in a couple of days. Yeah, so you're absolutely right on that. Now we do see the haze coming down straight away, pretty much on turn 1, and it keeps Luciao, a fair distance away. And that's definitely what you want to see. So it looks like maybe this fight is gonna go much more convincingly to Sadali and Exia. But as you can see here, there's still oh, there we go, she's down for the count. Okay, maybe I need to turn that off. So I would much prefer her to try and revive Luciao than to go with the attack. But the problem is there are situations where you do want Luciao to come in and do like a single ping to help you win the fight. So I'm a little bit conflicted on that. And here you see the true nature of War Division. Sometimes you make an adjustment that you do feel is generally a better strategy, but as it turns out, because of the changes in positioning, I'm suddenly finding myself in the losing position, and then I'm kind of recovering. But it feels like this result is significantly worse than before, right? It feels like the version earlier when Luciao had her limit burst off seemed to be performing better than this version right now. What do you guys think? So this points out the importance of practicing against very specific teams that you're trying to beat in Guild Battle, because sometimes there's no way to 100% predict the movements. The only way you can try and do that is to test against a wide variety of teams and go with the setup that can beat most things most of the time. Let's see here. Wait, where did Real Saints team go? Oh, there we go. I'm gonna just run it one more time for just to check the consistency. Luciano says, happens all the time. Turn order and turn rotation is king. Yep, indeed. Number one hero says, Luciao doesn't have a full life. This is the advantage of having a resting. Oh, okay. Since the penalty of having LB off is losing re-raise on her. Right. That makes sense. Zerza says, that was damaged though. Higher magic or reincarnations on Sadali and Gilgamesh? Oh no. Higher reincarnation on Sadali and Gilgamesh should die turn 3 and you clear with all alive. Yeah, that would make sense as well. So yeah, I guess I gotta make a decision on if I want to go all in on Sadali. I do have the Rainbow Mind Spears of it, but it's just that with FF102 right around the horizon, I would much rather prefer to use the Rainbow Mind Spears on Yuna and Riku when they come out next month. So I'm kind of on the fence about going all in on Suddenly right now, especially when I have a lot of other teams max reincarnated that I can run. So yeah, so if as this is pointed out, we should probably see Gilgamesh surviving with like just enough HP that more reincarnations on Suddenly would have mattered. Okay, so I see what you mean, because if Suddenly had more damage, right, that right there would have just ended Gilgamesh. So yeah, definitely reincarnations is a thing that is affecting this matchup. Wow. Still, with that said, you know, even though my Suddenly is lacking reincarnation, he's doing some pretty crazy stuff here. Holy cow. Just look at that damage, it's insane. Wow. Okay, you know what? Just based on that, I kind of feel like maybe I should just you know, go in on Suddenly. That is really insane. Number One Hero says, honestly, because Exia is a missile unit, she needs the reincarnations much less than other archetypes. Well, I mean, she's not really. I get what you mean. She's a support DPS. She's not a main DPS. But with that said, and also the thing about Exia is that above all, she's about the range, not so much the damage. The issue is, the reason why I went in on more reincarnations for Exia is because you can use her with a lot more different characters. And for me in particular, I'm planning to run her with Gilgamesh, who is, you know, max reincarnated. So that's the main reason why I went in on Exia's reincarnations. In the end, in the long run, I will have them both max reincarnated. It's just that I don't really want to, you know, go in on my resources right now when I want to be able to use them for something else down the line next month. Alright, so next up I'm gonna try out the next team I made. I'm gonna put it on defense as well, so Number One Hero, if you want to give it a go, let me know if this is any good. Honestly, this is not something that I was able to test much before I started the stream, so I'm not even sure if it's going to be any good, but yeah, maybe it'll do quite okay. The one thing I can say about this team though is that it is, I believe it is, Shureka and Sephiroth are max reincarnated. I don't reincarnate support characters, so wrestling is not, but it might just, you know, fare better than the Suddenly team just because the DPS characters are max reincarnated. Okay, so one thing I'm not sure about this team is whether or not I'm supposed to leave the TMR on Sephiroth on. I think it is because I'm going for a high speed strategy here. And I want him to be super fast, but I want him to stay behind on the first few turns. Zerza says, you're also running a water unit with a water Asper into Sid, so he's heating harder than he would otherwise. Yep, that makes sense. So I think the idea though is that Sadly would be able to compensate for that, but you know, based on the fights we just saw, unfortunately it seems like Axia went down for the count just a little bit too fast. So yeah, the team may perform better if I switch to another Aspirant Axia. Okay, so we're gonna start off by going into Orlandeau first, because like I said, I want to see if Orlandeau is a true god or if he is just a false prophet. Number one hero says you can leave Elias's TMR on. It will make it so that he stays behind the track. Yeah, I think that should be the case, but I didn't actually check before I started the stream, so I'm not sure if that actually works properly. Luciano says, I think 40 reincarnations is usually the sweet spot where you don't invest fully plus. Yeah, I usually do that for the characters I do intend to eventually max reincarnate. It's just that because, you know, there are so many characters coming out that are good, that I didn't even want to go to 40 reincarnations on Saturday yet, just in case like maybe the next meta could be something like Axia with Anniversary Jaden and one other character, usually Luciao, right? So I'm kind of afraid that I may replace Suddenly too early and then, you know, come back to playing Suddenly again many months later when Earth is, you know, back at a top tier spot. And of course there's still the looming threat of Riku. We don't know how good Riku is gonna be. We don't know if the developers have the balls to make Riku just flat out insane. So we're still waiting. We still are waiting for a bunch of information. But once that is confirmed and once we have a better idea, then that's when I would feel safe about going all in on Suddenly. Or at least just going to a 40 reincarnation on Suddenly. So actually, if I want Sephiroth to stay in the back, I should flip position 1 with position 3. Maybe, so that he goes around. Okay, never mind. So he doesn't do that. In that case, do I really want the TMR to be on? Because I would rather have the reaction ability buff out. Seems to be doing pretty well. Rasne is not in the best spot right now. I would prefer if Rasne was in a position where she can't get hit. So maybe I do need to change. Maybe I need to turn off his TMR after all. Oh yeah, one thing I should probably turn on. For Summer Wrestling, I actually turned off the main ability that's that has cast time on it. But I've been thinking about whether or not that is actually a mistake, because the magic skill that has cast time is actually quite good. It's just that I don't want the cast time to screw up any, you know, turn order of that kind of. Well, not really turn order, but more like, you know, I don't want the attack to come out too late. Kill LK says, I still ban Shrek, because every annoying wall have her. Suddenly works like A2, a max Suddenly power-wise is a different level. Yeah. I definitely get the sense of that as well. Well, you know, Riku is coming out next week, so, you know, maybe if she's godlike, maybe I'll just straight away go all in on Suddenly. I do want to do that because Suddenly is a really cool character, you know, anti-hero kind of thing. But I'm just a little bit afraid at the moment if I want to be using up all my resources before information gets confirmed. So I'm gonna try and pit my Sephiroth team against. So this one is kind of interesting. I don't know how this will work because I'm pretty sure a support character is better than you know, 1 support and 2 DPS is better than 3 DPS, right? Assuming you run Exia as a support DPS. Yeah, so this is not a haste unit. So I'm curious about, wait, maybe this is, okay, so Mont is here, so I'm going to assume Benjay's team has been tweaked for the current map. Let's just take a look. This says, looks like an old comp. Jump ring, P1 streams last night. Yep, that could just be it. But just in case like he has some kind of big brain strategy, I'm just gonna load the fight and see if it actually works. Absolutely no reason to use a jump ring there. So I just want to see whether the damage output from 3 characters is good enough to you know, overcome Sephiroth here. No More Hero says, that's rough. Yeah, I was eating Shrekkarov from maps and maps beforehand. The new team just takes 14,499 Blade Blast. S tier defenses at the moment is Exia Suddenly variants and Shrekkarov is A tier. So really, you feel that way? Cause I do think that the matchup is quite even. It depends on position. Like, I've seen the fight go either way. Oh, this is a bit of a surprise. I might try this strategy for myself. I might try this team for myself as well. Although obviously I will not be using a jump ring, but this is actually I think it's really good to run, like, you know, this kind of team in free match and duels, because you don't have to worry about a second fight. And I'm definitely gonna try this out later on. I do have Crimson Wizard as well, but again, it's not reincarnated because I'm kind of scared to go in on Crimson Wizard. But it is, I think it's a very fun idea. So let's try and find teams that are customized for this map. I'm gonna assume this is tweaked for the current map because it's running Garosa. And we're gonna swap out my Sephiroth Shrek team for the Suddenly Exia teams as well. And then I think you should see what I mean by, you know, it can go either way. Suddenly doesn't always lose to win teams, although in this case it's not really a win team. No More Hero says, yes, cause like Luciel pockets suddenly, he walks over half of the metagame. Wait, what are you talking about? Oh, triple DPS is really fun too. It's my defense, go hit me up. Oh, wait. Zerza says Shrek and Sephiroth's problem now is how easily Exia runs them over. It's basically 3 stars for Exia comp style, right? That is definitely one of Exia's strengths, you know, that range 6 missile attack that just breaks barrier from so far away. I'm doing Xerxes a favor right now on the Stairmaster. Yeah, I thought, actually the reason why I thought about doing a stream like this is because, to be honest, I've been so I changed jobs, and then my new job is quite a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things I enjoy looking into for work. And it got to a point where I realized I'm hardly even like spending time, testing things out in WOTV. And so earlier I told my guild, you know what would be a good idea? Maybe I should just do like a weekly stream, and then on that stream, I'm streaming at the same time as, testing out guild battle stuff and figuring out what I should run for my own guild battles. So, I kind of thought, I should maybe just do that, and then that will maybe get me to play War of Divisions more. Because I do find the meta over the past month has been really interesting. It's just that I don't find it to be as interesting as my work. And I'm kind of like trying out this streaming idea to force myself to play War of Divisions more. I know it sounds weird, and also to try and force myself to wake up earlier in the morning. So right now it's like 10 a.m. in the morning for me. I started at like 8:15 today. Garoza. So I wasn't fully watching the fight just now, so I'm not sure what are the turning points in that battle. Let me just run it through one more time and see if there's anything I should try and tweak. So obviously Garoza and Sephiroth, this is a team that more and more people are starting to run now that people have level 140 Garozas in JP. I do actually see more people run the evade version of this team, simply because, as many of you know, Garoza is a bit of a paper character, especially since his, the skill with the barrier break is not always coming out. But with that said, so the only reason, I do think that Garoza is a really good character. The only reason I'm skipping out on him is because they already told us the anniversary character is a ice unit, and my prediction is that, if there's so many ice teams running around, then if you're planning to play a Garoza team, it's not going to be the best environment to be running that. And I feel that at this point, especially with the 3 level 120s they just gave everybody, at this point I have access to so many different teams that I don't even have enough time to try everything out. So for that reason, I feel like I don't need Garoza at this point. I can wait to just pick him up later for free, if I get lucky on my polls down the line. So that's the only reason I am not picking him up, but I do think he's a really fun character, and he can do some real crazy stuff as well. Hey bro says, Yuna Meta 2.0, let's go! Yeah, Yuna is another one I'm really super looking forward to. Very excited to see what Yuna can do after Jaden is out. So the haze here is doing a lot of work. And see, I think this is partially a positioning problem, because I'm not in range to attack and nullify. So I'm basically just coming out to get hit at this point, right? But I think this is a turn order and positioning problem. Like if you have a team that gets the haze early on, and you're able to get the turn order such that you're hitting the enemy before they can dispel your haze, and you're killing them before they can attack, that is going to be real solid. Okay. So I think probably what I will do after the stream is I will go and try out a version of Sephiroth and Shureka with Luciel instead, and see if the fight is more even. Capped. Number one hero says, yep, it's completely capped. See, this is why when Summer Wrestling came out, right? Like, my opinion is that Luciao is better than Summer Wrestling. Like, it felt that way from the test we were doing back then as well. But a lot of people do feel that the Wrestling barrier seal combo with barrier characters is super strong as well. And opinions kind of, changed towards that. And then now I think it's like slowly shifting back into Luciao being the preferred choice. So, especially now that we have a lot more barrier breakers, a lot more long-range barrier breakers like Rosa, whose barrier break is range 7 with guaranteed hit. So even the escape, even the evade strategy will not save you from Garosa. So now we're gonna switch out to our Saturday Exit teams and let's test them against Garosa. Like in JP, from the test I saw from my guild, right? It is not it's not that uneven. Like there are times where the Saturday team can actually beat the Garosa team. Although I would have to say, obviously the Garosa team is going to be favored most of the time. So earlier it was Gobas that we fought against, right? Was this the team? Kind of forgot if it was Gobas or if it was somebody else. I'm interested in seeing how this team performs as well, but don't know if it's been tweaked for this map already or not. The problem, although with that said, the problem with triple DPS characters in guild battle is that you're pretty much banking on your team surviving only a single fight, which is not really ideal for the purposes of guild battle. Durza says, I see Lucy versus Resnick support as entirely map or team comp dependent. Interesting. One isn't necessarily better than the other. Resnick enables a defensive attrition fight, whereas Luciao enables an offensive haste or damage up rush. Yep, that makes sense. And I'm not sure if you saw it earlier when I was talking about the differences between these two Saturday Exit teams that I have built. And I basically said the same thing as what you typed out, which is that one is more offensive oriented and the other is more defensive oriented. So yeah, you're absolutely right that it is entirely map and team comp dependent. So it's definitely best for players in general to have both of them, and then you can decide whichever strategy makes more sense in the scenario you're playing on. Number Hero says, so inside of the same rotations, he's multiplying his damage way harder. Wait, what are we talking about? Is this about Garosa? Number Hero also says, yeah, but Circe's Luciao goes onto those teams way easier via VC support. How do you build a Saturday Access shell without Resnick being incredibly slow? That's a good point you've brought up. But even with that said, I do feel that as long as you're able to get agility up to a certain point, I think it's still okay even if there isn't as much VC coverage for Summer Resnick. Oh, number one hero says that was in reference to Cloud. Okay. So yeah, so it looks like from watching this fight, it looks like Axia, has no way to kind of salvage this once suddenly is dead. So I'm gonna run this one more time for consistency check before switching over to the Summer Wrestling version to see if it's different. So this is obviously over the past month, Saturday XA has become incredibly popular, both in JP and global version. But with that said, you know, as opposed to other top tier teams in the past, I do feel that Saturday XA is not quite as oppressive as those other, you know, popular teams in the past. Now, of course, the you know, meta is changing all the time. So, like for example, it used to be that Sephiroth and Shureka was dominating a lot, and now that we have come to this map with Garoza and everything, clearly that's not always going to be the best strategy. So even the oppressive teams from the past, they don't stay oppressive all the time, right? But with that said, with Saturday and Axia, I think I'm not sure why exactly, but it just feels like they're not as you know, they're not as strong as past oppressive new teams, if that makes any sense. So that's why I'm really excited to see what Riku can do, because we're kind of long due for a top tier team with a top tier unit just destroying everything in its path. Wait, what happened to the music? Things look kinda different from earlier. Or maybe not. Just as I said that, Garoza just destroys the entire team. So now I'm gonna have to make it my mission to come up with a team that beats this. This looks really solid. Kudos to GoBest for putting this team together and allowing us to see what a beast Garoza can be. Holy cow. Alright, so next up I'm going to switch over to Summer Wrestling version. And, you know, I'm not even sure if Agri's Gilgamesh can beat that Garoza team, because you do have Sephiroth, you know, coming in and doing, maybe it would do just enough damage to beat that team. Here, let's take a look at chat. Number one hero says wrestling over Luciel for Garo is a huge L. Yeah, it could be, but you know, these types of things is best to visually confirm it, because there may be some movement differences that can actually change the turning points of the fight. Number one hero says, I don't have Fang, so I'm pulling Yuna. Wait, why? What does Fang have to do with that? Yuna is everyone's idol, so everyone should pull her. Number one hero says, try mid-slot Luciel so you can run re-raise into haste. Yeah, if I change it so that it's in the middle, yeah, it might just work. Hey Crimson Leaves, thanks for stopping by. CT up now on Fang. Oh, okay, so that's what you meant. Zerza says, I didn't test it deeply, but Lucia with bow tie and Balo's smartphone, which nullifies haze and disable, so she hazed the other two, shut down our day 1 Garo team with Axia Sadali earlier. See what you made me do, you made me read out the wrong name for Sadali. Lucia with bow tie and Balo smartphone. Well, another way to do it would be, instead of using Balo's smartphone, you can just use some other weapon so that she doesn't have to hate down on her. And if that's the case, I believe she will cast haze on herself and one other unit, so that works as well. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that and see how, see if it's better versus Kurosa. So this is gonna be the team I'm gonna try and find some counters to, for sure. This is a really fun team now, actually. Kale LK says, writing notes there at Cersei's. Lucia hasting herself is such a pain. It's good though if you need Lucia to come in and you know, heal at the correct timing sometimes. So sometimes it's worth doing it. Okay, so we know this is now the team to beat. But for now I'm gonna try, so I don't have much time left before I need to be somewhere else. So I'm gonna see if there's one last team we can do some tests against. And maybe this one here. Yeah, you know what? Let me switch to Sephiroth and Shrek and let's fight against the Agrias team. So basically my thinking is that, you know, I want to do like a stream like this once every week. And originally I was thinking of doing it at this time slot because this is how I can sort of trick myself into waking up earlier on Saturdays. Which is, I know, Friday for, you know, people watching from North America. But after some thinking, maybe I should change the timing to 12 hours from, so basically, what time is it? 4 hours after the daily reset on Saturday. Because that way, so today we can do mock battles because there's no guild battle, right? But usually, at this timing, there is mock battle and we won't actually be able to do any kind of in-depth testing live on stream. So that wouldn't work, and I think the point of the game is to be able to, you know, test a lot of stuff. And so I want to try setting up a stream like that every week. And so I'm probably going to change the time slot to, you know, to later in the evening for me, which is like early morning in North America. It'll take me a while to find like the best timing to stream probably, but for now I think I'm gonna try doing this every week, and then we'll come to the stream. I'll basically come to the stream with a bunch of ideas on what I want to test against, and we'll just like with this stream, we're going to get a bunch of ideas and suggestions from chat to try and implement them into the teams on stream and see if we can figure out anything interesting, or at the very least maybe we can even come out with a fun team composition. So I was gonna switch to my Sephiroth team. Okay, so we're gonna just do a few final tasks against the Agrias team, and then I pretty much need to go off and attend to something. I have a thing with people that I'm going to, so can't do that on stream. But usually I do want to try and do like at least 4 or 5 hours so that we can explore quite a lot. It'll depend on interest, of course, and it'll depend on if I can find anything interesting to show. There may be cases where there's absolutely nothing to talk about. There may not be anything worth, you know, doing extensive tests for. So it'll all depend on whether I can find something interesting to play around with. Yeah, I wanted to test the Halloween Alaya teams as well, but I guess we'll do one fight versus that as well. But I need to go off in like 10-15 minutes time, so today will be a little bit on the short end. Now, where was the Agrias Gilgamesh team I was eyeing earlier? It's the one with Sadly in it. Oh, there we go. I haven't shown the team comp yet, so let me just do that quickly now. Oh yeah, this card. This is something that's not in JP, and as it turns out, it really complements this team very well. There we go. And wait, surprisingly, all 6 vision cards cover all 3 characters. So I'm surprised at how well everything fits. Zerza said Bowtie had Garoza swing past Exia and Salali and single target Luciao while the Merit couple killed everyone. Bowtie had Garoza swing past. Yeah, I can kind of imagine that. But wouldn't that mean that, you know, the only reason Garo single targeted Luciao, isn't that because his range 7 attack, right? It's just because it's in a cross shape, right? Isn't it just because, you know, he was forced to target Luciao, and then it just so happens that the positioning on the Exia and Sadali team is such that they are not caught in crossfire? Because if they move in a way that is that made them pretty close to Luciao, right, I think it could still be possible for them to get caught. Now, of course, all of this is map dependent and movement dependent, so I think it is still a pretty smart strategy. But whether or not you know, it works 100% will depend on the opponent's team comp as well, as in terms of the positioning of the 3 characters, you know, position 1, 2, 3, right? So depending on how that is, there may be, like, if the Garoza is, like, you know, different from where you expected him to be, then it may not work that way. With that said, I think it's definitely a good idea to go for that kind of to bait Garoza with Luciao. I think that's really smart. Definitely gonna give that a try later on off stream as well, and see if I can, you know, put something like that together and do some tests on it as well. Zerza says, yep, entirely positioning. Those 2 go up on the hill at height 3, and Luciao stays down at height 1, so his AI targeting her with hate doesn't have options to hit the other 2. Ah, I see. Right, so it's basically separating them, and the height range is godly for that. So for this fight, we just want to see how well Sadali works with the ice people. And the thing with Sephiroth is that, you know, he's really more of a support role in these kinds of team compositions, as Shureka is the main damage here. So I'm kind of curious to see whether or not, you know, this would be this would perform well enough that it can beat a number of different things. Whoa, okay, so the damage, I think if I were to run this team, I think what might be interesting is if I wonder if I put, wait, no, that wouldn't work, Yeah, so I think this is probably a bad matchup for Gilgamesh side. No, as in my team is in a disadvantaged position because Sephiroth Shurika relies a lot on Shurika bringing the damage, and if Shurika goes down in a single hit like that, it's not going to be an easy fight. Of course, as we can see here, the situation is kind of turning around, but you know, a lot of it is, part of it is because I do have max reincarnations on Sephiroth, and it's slowly turning around, but I think the Sadly Gilgamesh team could have won there. It could be due to reincarnations differences. Of course, I don't know how much reincarnations my opponent has on his team, so that's something I would have to check after the stream. Alright, so next up we're gonna take a look at Crimson Lee's team. Basically the team that's going to tell us if it's worth dropping 6,000 pieces for Halloween Alaya. Crimson Lees, are you still here? Can you tell us your thoughts on Halloween Alaya? Like, I'm still kind of on the fence really. Like, I would have given up on Halloween Alaya if she went away today. But as it turns out, the Halloween units are here to stay for another week. So I do technically have 7 more days to, you know, try and see if I want to pick up Halloween Alaya. So that's why I'm kind of a little bit on the fence right now. Number One Hero says that team is full 83 reincarnations as far as I know. Okay, so in that case, I guess we should run it one more time for consistency, but it seems to be quite even. It feels like the fight can go either way between the Sadly and Gilgamesh team versus Sephiroth and Shurika. Gersa says Rex, Gilgamesh Chaser caused the loss. Immediately remove Sephiroth's confusion so he could LB everyone. Ah, okay. But you know, even with that said, there's no good way to avoid, you know, having Gilgamesh remove Sephiroth's confusion, right? Because, like, is there anything that we could have tweaked to give the Gilgamesh team an advantage? Because, you know, Gilgamesh hitting Sephiroth out of the confusion is a turn order problem, right? Number One Hero says Gilgamesh Agrias kinda anti-synergy for that reason. Well, I don't know, because they're both ice element, and the confusion part of Agrias Kid is only a small part of what she does. So the fact that she can, you know, tank for the entire team, that's, you know, solid enough to run her. You know, just the fact that she can tank and she can stop, that's good enough for her to be meta relevant, I think. So like I told Liz a couple weeks ago, I don't believe in Halloween Alaya. Mostly because as a cost anti unit, she does have a few weaknesses, and one of them, I don't know if I mentioned this before on stream or anywhere else, but one of the problems with Halloween Alaya that I do not like is that her best abilities have too few casts, too few users. Like you only get 3 users of her main ability. This one. No, it's not this one. Wait, it's 4 casts? I thought I saw on WOTV Calc it's 3 casts. Oh, this one, cast Axe release. So this is the main ability, right? It's been like 2 weeks, so I don't remember what is the most powerful attack, but I believe it's this one. Why didn't he use it? Well, it's one of them, right? So my opinion is that no, this is the one, yeah. So this ability here only has 3 casts. So I feel that it's not good enough for guild battle, because if you're fighting a team that wins on attrition, you can run out of this and then you're just like a sitting duck. Zaza says Keenblade Gilgamesh so she pushes out and LBs before he gets Chaser buff up. Right, so basically change the turn order with Keen Blade. Yeah, I think that might work. That makes sense. Chase, push out LB before he gets Chaser buff up. It's definitely worth, it's definitely something that, yeah, can turn things around. But the downside of that is if you use Keen Blade, it's gonna affect the turn orders in other ways as well. So I think it's hard to predict. It's something that you'll have to manually check to see if it always happens this way, and whether the new turn order with Keen Blade would make sense for the team. But yeah, definitely that's one thing that can be tried to see if it improves the situation for the Gilgamesh team. KLK says skipping her for X2 units. I was hoping for Halloween Salier, but unfortunately that's not the case, and perhaps it will be a meme forever. I think they kind of screwed themselves by designing the cards the way they are. So I kind of get that for the Halloween Vision cards, right? There is actually an advantage to... I believe their thinking is that with the Halloween cards, if they do it this way, in that they furnish the illustration with a bunch of characters that you normally don't get to see unless it's in the Vision card. It's basically they're trying to give all these characters like an opportunity to appear in a different way, right? And if you think about it, they don't really have the resources to make Halloween Doom, Halloween what's his name now? Haze guy, I don't remember his name. Basically, I feel like they knew right from the beginning that they will not be able to make so many Halloween characters. So one way to let more players experience a bunch of different characters in this different light would be to feature them in illustrations. So I think that is the mindset they had going into Halloween cards, and unfortunately it has the side effect of making people anticipate that some of these characters in the Vision cards might come out as playable characters, even though they have no intention of ever doing that, So I guess it's a problem of mismanaged expectations, but for most people, hey, you know what? You don't have the character, you don't have Halloween Sadia, but at least she exists in that one Vision card that you can have with you always. So look at it, from their perspective. Look at it with, a silver lining. At least there is Halloween Sadia in the Vision card. Alright, so with that, I'm starting to feel like, my mouth is like a little bit numb maybe, because I'm like tripping over myself so much in the past like 10 minutes or so. So I'm gonna end the stream right here for today. But yeah, this is basically a test to see how viable such a stream is, and from the interaction from the chat, it seems like there is really a lot that we could talk about, that we could explore together on the stream. So I feel like for now I'm gonna try again to have another stream like this next week. It won't be at the same time, but it will be on the same day, or I guess like 12 hours later. So once I figured out the timing for it, I have to look at some YouTube analytics to see if maybe there's a better timing I could pick. And once that is settled, I will be scheduling the live stream at least like a few days in advance, at least 1 or 2 days in advance. So if you want to be informed when I go live with these kinds of streams, and always I will try to go into as many interesting team comps, either for guild battle or arena, or in the future when class match or pickup match is here, I will also be using the stream to feature some teams that I really like, that I've seen in those matches, So if that sounds like something that you might be interested in, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring the notifications bell, set it to all notifications so that you will be informed whenever one of these live streams is scheduled and ready to roll. Okay, so I'm pretty tired, even though it's only been about 2 hours. The thing is, I didn't sleep very much last night because, ironically, in setting this stream, so early in the morning for me, I ended up not being able to sleep as well as, I didn't sleep as much as I normally would. So, is this the correct? Oops. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it here. So yeah, I'm gonna try this again next week. See you guys next time. I will probably have some videos later on throughout the week as well. But everything will be kind of sporadic, so the best way to be up to date on new releases for videos as well as scheduled live streams will be through subscribing to the YouTube channel. So head on over there and click the subscribe button. Alright, so I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Luciano says, GG, thanks for the stream. Great start. KLK says, thanks for the stream. Number One Hero says, Liz, I like your team. You just need to do something about Team Blade Chief. Thank you guys so much for showing up.